Hello, I'm Roy Sargent and I directed the Artscape Siyasunga Cape Town Theatre Company co-production of My Children, My Africa, the play by Athol Fugard, which you are studying. I'm going to answer two questions and I'll be referring to this test. It's the Pearson Longman Maskew Miller publication of the play. First question I put to myself is, do I know Athol Fugard? Well, yes, I do. I met him in the 1960s in Cape Town. He's an acquaintance, not a friend. When I began my career as a play director, I did a number of productions in Port Elizabeth, and that is where Fugard grew up and lived in early adulthood. On one trip to Port Elizabeth, he invited me out to tea at his home, and I met his wife, his first wife, Sheila, and their little daughter, Lisa. One of the marks of Fugard's writing is his compassion for people, his love of people. And there's an anecdote from that tea party when he said to me, "Roy, you know, when it's very cold in winter, I take Lisa's school uniform and I fold it up, I turn on the oven and I put the uniform in the oven for half an hour or so to warm up." He loves people. He was born in Middelburg, Cape, to an Afrikaans mother and an English father. He's always rejoiced in the Afrikaans heritage he has, quietly preferring it to the English side of his family. The Afrikaans language and the extraordinary strength of his mother, who was the breadwinner, are something that he employs dramatically in his play Master Harold and the Boys. We South Africans can be very proud of Athol Fugard. Now in his late 80s, he's had a hugely distinguished career as a playwright, actor and director. He's world famous, and his plays are continually produced throughout America and the United Kingdom and in Johannesburg and Cape Town. Time magazine has referred to Fugard as probably the greatest living playwright writing in English. Our production of of My Children, My Africa, has a specific purpose for you grade 12 learners, and that is to demonstrate that the play doesn't really exist until it's in performance. We believe that this is true of My Children, My Africa. It's a tough piece of dramatic writing. Its technique of employing monologues on more than one occasion during the action being especially challenging to an audience and to a reader. But what is important about these monologues is that the action of the play does not seize up, but that the monologues provide insight into what is motivating the characters in their thinking. It's important to note that Fugard wrote the play in 1989 and that the play is set in 1984. Interestingly, Fugard gives the name Kamdebou to the town in which he sets the play. Now, the Kamdebou plains are those which stretch from the Sneeuwberge in the north of the Eastern Cape right down to the Baviaans Kloof Mountains in the south. Above all, Kamdebou is held within the confines of the Karoo, an area of the tough, uncompromising terrain of South Africa, much beloved by Fugard. The mid-1980s in our country was a time of severe troubles. It was a time when the cruelty of apartheid was beyond coping with. The National Party government was led by the sinister and psychotic P.V. Botha, and the black school learners of that time went into rebellion against what was known as Bantu education.